Welcome to this in-depth, no-fluff audiobook summary of Mark Manson's best-selling book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. This is not your typical self-help book. It doesn't preach positive thinking. It doesn't tell you to chase happiness. It doesn't tell you to manifest your dream life. Instead, it says something different, something honest. You only have a limited number of fucks to give in life. So don't waste them. Choose what to care about, wisely. Because caring about everything leads to stress, anxiety, comparison, and disappointment. But when you care about the right things, your values, your growth, your relationships, your purpose, your life changes. So grab your headphones, take a deep breath, and let's walk through the raw, honest truths that will shift the way you live. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our weekly deep dive summaries. And let's make this a conversation. Drop a comment below. What's one thing you're tired of caring about that you want to let go of? A toxic friendship? Social media drama? I'm all ears. Alright, let's get real and jump into the first lesson. Chapter 1, Don't Try. We start with a punch to the gut, don't try. These words are etched on the gravestone of Charles Bukowski, a poet and novelist who was, by society's standards, a mess, a drunk, a womanizer, a so-called loser. Yet, he found success by embracing his messy, authentic self instead of pretending to be someone he wasn't. Mark Manson uses Bukowski's story to challenge our obsession with always striving to be more successful, more attractive, more productive, more everything. Here's the problem: when you're constantly chasing better, you're secretly telling yourself you're not good enough right now. It's a trap. The more you obsess over being extraordinary, the more you feel inadequate. Think about it: scrolling through Instagram, seeing everyone's highlight reels, makes you feel like you're falling behind. But Manson says stop. Stop trying to be someone you're not. Real growth starts with accepting who you are, flaws, quirks, and all. Real-world example: I know a guy, Jake, who spent years chasing a corporate job because he thought it would make him successful. He was miserable, always comparing himself to colleagues with fancier titles. When he finally quit to start a small woodworking business, something he loved, he found peace. He wasn't rich or famous, but he was real. That's the subtle art, owning your imperfections and building from there. Practical tip: try this today. Write down 3 things you like about yourself, not tied to achievements. Maybe you're a great listener or have a weird sense of humor. This isn't about ego, it's about grounding yourself in who you are, not who you should be. When you accept your starting point, you can grow without the pressure of perfection. Reflection pause: take 10 seconds to think. Where are you trying too hard to be someone you're not? Pause for 10 seconds. Key takeaway: growth doesn't come from pretending you're perfect. It comes from embracing your humanity, warts and all, and working with it. That's a powerful start. Let's keep going with Chapter 2, where Manson flips the script on happiness. Chapter 2, Happiness is a Problem. Everyone wants to be happy, right? You chase money, love, travel, or that perfect job, thinking, this will finally make me feel good. But Manson drops a truth bomb: happiness isn't something you get. It's a byproduct of solving meaningful problems. And here's the kicker: life is a never-ending stream of problems, and that's not a bad thing. The goal isn't to eliminate problems but to choose ones worth solving. Imagine you want to run a marathon. The problem isn't just the race, it's the grueling training, the blisters, the mental battles. But if you love running, that struggle feels meaningful. Or think about parenting: the sleepless nights and endless worries are tough, but for many, the love and connection make it worth it. Happiness comes from picking problems that align with your values. Story: my friend Sarah always chased easy happiness, parties, new gadgets, quick flings. But she felt empty. When she started volunteering at an animal shelter, the work was hard: cleaning cages, dealing with sick pets, but it gave her a sense of purpose she'd never had. The problems were real, but they were her problems. Deep dive. Manson says our culture sells a lie, that happiness means no pain. Social media, ads, even some self-help gurus push this idea of a problem-free life. But pain is part of the deal. The question is, what pain are you willing to endure? If you want to be an artist, you'll face rejection and self-doubt. If you want a strong marriage, you'll navigate tough conversations. Choose your suffering wisely, and happiness follows. Practical tip: make a list of your current problems, work stress, family drama, whatever. Next to each, write why it's worth it, or if it's not. If a problem, like a toxic job, doesn't serve your values, start planning to let it go. This exercise helps you focus on struggles that matter. Reflection pause. What's one problem in your life you're willing to embrace because it's meaningful? Pause for 10 seconds. Key takeaway: stop chasing a pain-free life. Find the problems worth suffering for, and let them shape your happiness. That reframes everything. What problem are you ready to embrace? Share it in the comments, and let's move to Chapter 3. Chapter 3, You Are Not Special. This chapter stings, especially in a world that loves to tell you, you're unique. You're destined for greatness. Manson calls BS. When everyone's told they're special, the word loses meaning. And this obsession with being extraordinary is making us miserable. We've become allergic to average, but here's the truth: most of life is ordinary, and that's okay. You're not broken because you're not a billionaire, a supermodel, or a viral sensation. You're enough, not because you're one in a million, but because you're honest with yourself. When you stop needing to feel special, you free up energy to focus on what matters: your character, your relationships, your impact. Real-world example: I know a woman, Lisa, who felt like a failure because she wasn't living her best life like her Instagram friends. She was a teacher, loved her students, but thought she should be doing more. When she embraced her ordinary life, grading papers, mentoring kids, she found pride in her work. Letting go of special let her love her reality. Deep dive. Our culture fuels this problem. Reality TV, social media, even graduation speeches push the idea that you're destined for epic things. But when life feels mundane, you crash. Manson says self-acceptance isn't settling, it's liberation. You don't need to be the best to be valuable. Showing up authentically is enough. Practical tip: next time you feel less than, remind yourself, I'm not special, and that's fine. Then do one small thing that aligns with your values, like calling a friend or working on a hobby. It grounds you in what's real. Reflection pause. Where do you feel pressure to be special? Pause for 10 seconds. Key takeaway: you don't need to be extraordinary to be enough. Embrace your ordinary self, and focus on what truly matters. That's freeing, right? Let's dive into Chapter 4, where suffering gets a new meaning. Chapter 4, The Value of Suffering. Suffering is universal, but not all suffering is equal. Some people suffer for empty reasons: to impress others, to chase status, to protect their ego. That kind of pain is a soul suck. But other suffering, the pain of discipline, honesty, or sacrifice, builds you up. Manson says the difference lies in your values. Ask yourself, am I suffering for my truth or for an illusion? For example, working overtime to buy a flashy car to impress strangers is suffering for ego. But staying up late to finish a project you believe in? That's suffering for purpose. Story: my cousin Mike used to grind at a job he hated to afford a lifestyle he thought he needed: nice clothes, a fancy apartment. He was exhausted. When he downsized, took a lower-paying but meaningful job at a non-profit, his stress dropped. His suffering became about impact, not image. Practical tip: audit your suffering. Write down what's causing you pain right now: a job, a relationship, a goal. Next to each, note the value behind it. Is it ego, approval, or something deeper like growth or love? If it's not meaningful, consider letting it go. Reflection pause. What's one source of suffering you could reframe or release? Pause for 10 seconds. Key takeaway: you'll suffer either way. Choose suffering that aligns with your truth and builds your legacy. That's a game changer. Let's move to Chapter 5, where you take back your power. Chapter 5, You are always choosing. Here's a truth that hits hard: you are always choosing. Even when life feels unfair, your response is your choice. You didn't pick your upbringing, your setbacks, or the economy, but you decide what they mean and how you move forward. Taking responsibility isn't about blame, it's about power. When you stop saying, "This happened to me," and start asking, "What can I do now?" you reclaim control. The most resilient people aren't those with perfect lives, they're the ones who choose their reactions. Real-world example: I know someone, Anna, who went through a brutal divorce. She could have stayed bitter, but she chose to focus on rebuilding, therapy, new hobbies, stronger friendships. Her choice to heal transformed her life. That's the power of choosing. Practical tip: next time you feel stuck, ask, "What's one choice I can make today?" Maybe it's setting a boundary, seeking help, or trying something new. Small choices add up. Reflection pause. What's one situation where you can choose a new response? Pause for 10 seconds. Key takeaway: you're never powerless, you always have a choice in how you respond, and that shapes your life. That's empowering. Share a choice you're ready to make in the comments, and let's hit Chapter 6. Chapter 6, You're wrong about everything, even you. Manson reminds us, we're often wrong, about ourselves, others, and the world. Our beliefs, desires, and truths shift over time. What you swore by at 20 might feel absurd at 30. And that's okay. The problem is chasing certainty, because it blinds you to growth. Wisdom comes from questioning. What if your view of success is off? What if your grudges are holding you back? Being open to, "I don't know," invites learning and change. Story: I used to think I had to be a workaholic to make it. I was wrong. When I questioned that belief and prioritized balance, my life improved. Letting go of certainty was scary but freeing. Practical tip: challenge one belief this week. Maybe you think you're bad at public speaking. Sign up for a Toastmasters session and test it. Doubt opens doors. Reflection pause. What's one belief you're ready to question? Pause for 10 seconds. Key takeaway: embrace uncertainty, it's the gateway to wisdom and growth. That's humbling. Let's move to Chapter 7, where failure becomes your friend. Chapter 7, Failure is the way forward. Failure feels like the enemy, but Manson says it's the path to growth. Every skill you've mastered, walking, writing, cooking, started with failing. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's part of it. Manson flips the script on motivation. You don't need to feel confident to act, you act, and confidence follows. Waiting for the perfect moment keeps you stuck. Start messy, start small, and let failure teach you. Real-world example: my friend Tom wanted to start a podcast but feared sounding dumb. He recorded one episode, cringed at it, but kept going. A year later, he had a loyal audience. Failure was his teacher. Practical tip: pick one thing you've avoided due to fear of failure, a new hobby, a tough talk, a job application. Take one small step this week, like signing up or drafting a plan. Action builds momentum. Reflection pause: what's one failure you can embrace as a step forward? Pause for 10 seconds. Key takeaway: failure isn't the end, it's feedback. Act, stumble, and grow. Failure's not so scary now, is it? Let's tackle Chapter 8, where saying no changes everything. Chapter 8, The Importance of Saying No. We're addicted to saying yes, to more work, more plans, more drama. But Manson says real power lies in saying no. Every yes to something trivial is a no to something meaningful, your health, your dreams, your peace. Saying no sets boundaries. It's not selfish, it's essential. Mature relationships, careers, and identities all require knowing what you won't tolerate. Story: I used to say yes to every social invite, even when I was drained. When I started saying no to events that didn't spark joy, I had energy for my passions, like writing. It was liberating. Practical tip: practice a polite no this week. Try, "Thanks, but I'm focusing on other priorities." Start with something small, like declining a low-value meeting. Reflection pause: what's one thing you need to say no to? Pause for 10 seconds. Key takeaway: saying no creates space for the yes that matter. Saying no feels good. Share what you're saying no to in the comments, and let's wrap up with Chapter 9. Chapter 9. And then you die. Death is the ultimate reality check, yet we avoid it. Manson says facing your mortality isn't depressing, it's clarifying. It strips away the noise, status, grudges, petty worries, and shows you what matters: love, legacy, contribution. Knowing your time is finite makes every choice sacred. If you had 1 year left, what would you prioritize? That's your guide to living now. Story: my uncle, a workaholic, got a cancer scare. It shook him. He started calling family, traveling, and doing things he'd delayed. Even after a clean bill of health, he kept that focus. Death's shadow made him live. Practical tip: write a deathbed list, 3 things you'd regret not doing if you died soon. Maybe it's reconciling with someone or pursuing a dream. Take 1 step toward 1 item this month. Reflection pause: if you had 1 year left, what would you do differently? Pause for 10 seconds. Key takeaway: death reminds you to live, focus on what lasts, and let the rest go. That's heavy but powerful. Let's bring it all together in the conclusion. We've just unpacked the raw, transformative wisdom of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. This book isn't about shutting down or not caring, it's about caring fiercely about what deserves your energy. Let's recap the 9 lessons. Don't try, embrace your authentic self, flaws and all. Happiness is a problem, choose meaningful struggles for true happiness. You are not special, find freedom in being enough, not extraordinary. The value of suffering: suffer for truth, not ego. You are always choosing, take responsibility for your responses. You're wrong about everything, stay open to being wrong for growth. Failure is the way forward, act, fail, and learn. The importance of saying no: set boundaries for a better yes. And then you die, let mortality guide you to what matters. So, what's the subtle art? It's selectivity, giving your fucks to your values, your people, your purpose, and letting go of the rest. Life is messy, painful, and finite, but that's what makes it beautiful. When you care less about the wrong things, you live more. Ask yourself: what's one thing I can stop caring about today? What's one value I want to give more fucks about? What's one small step I can take this week? If this resonated, grab the full book, and please hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a reality check. Drop a comment with your biggest takeaway or what you're letting go of. I'll be reading and cheering you on. Thanks for spending 2 hours with me. Until next time, choose your fucks wisely, live boldly, and keep it real.